Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. This guy right here is Evil Mike, or Mike if you prefer, and I got a review for you today. Today we're going to be talking about Massive Comics, Sean Murphy's The Plot Holes, issue number 1. It is written and art by Sean Gordon Murphy, colors by Matt Hollingsworth and Dave Stewart, and then letters and interior design by AndWorld Design. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe on this guy's channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button for this video, comment down below, go ahead and hit that bell. You never know when I'm going to be dropping videos. It will keep you in touch if you like my reviews. So let's get into it, right? One thing I like to note is the first page, of course, is like, it kind of varies between comics. But there is some little kind of hidden Easter eggs within here. I mean, it's set up like a script, but at the same time, but it goes into the book, the plot holes, right? So we start out, and it's basically we got this whole alien things with some funny noises going on, like wee wee. But basically, we got this character right here who's being teleported into the aliens. When she gets there, she's like, "No, yeah, I'm not gonna do." And basically she just commences to start killing them, seeing that they're kind of generic looking, normal aliens, that kind of stuff. A little bit of this is going to be confusing, but don't worry, I'm going to fill you in as we go. The aliens they start trying to run away and stuff. She starts, capping them off and stuff, and we meet the rest of her team. It's not just her by herself, but these other fine crew are part of her team, and they continue to slaughter the rest of these little green men. Eventually, with their mission complete, they are teleported off this current part they're in. They do teleport to another part in space because technically they're still in space. One of the members in their group, the beast looking guy, his name is Roar. He can change his appearance. You can see him down here changing into this guy, and they're doing it so they can sneak into the station. They do sneak into the station, and it's pretty much yeah, beat him up, kind of thing. When they get in there, they find out that one of the green men made it through from the last place they teleported. He is able to shoot one of their members, this guy named Surge. He kind of sneaks up and kapow, shoots this guy right here. While this goes on, because they were trying to sneak into this place, all these worm guardian things get activated or whatever, and they start trying to kill him. And instantly they get teleported out. This part right here is major. It will get explained in a little bit, but basically they go back to their home base. Basically mission complete as stated by the captain, and we find out throughout the book that her name is Ed, short for editor. But we basically go back to their crew, their home base. They got the dude Surge who got shot. He's pretty much dying. They're trying to figure out how that alien even made it past them. So we kind of jump to another place, and all of a sudden this dude right here is getting a knock at the door from our captain Ed. This character's name is Cliff, and he's basically a writer himself. He does comics and I want to say novels and stuff like that. He's given a test, which he doesn't know is a test at first, but she pulls out this blade and asks him if he recognized this, being a fan of sci-fi and fantasy and stuff like that. He doesn't recognize the blade, but he can kind of decipher where it might have came from, like a fantasy medieval. He is blown away because the sword actually works. It is stated that Ed pulled the sword from a book. It was called Dragon Blade. He thought it came from a book called Dragonlance, which Dragonlance is a real book, and I think Dragon Blade is too. There's a lot of references to real stuff, and we'll get why. But after successfully passing the test, it's kind of like an imagination thing. The fact that he was able to see the sword, know kind of where it came from, and then that it had the possibility of being real. As soon as this interview gets on its way, this worm kind of all of a sudden teleports into this room. They end up having to fight it. Our dude Cliff ends up killing it with this new sword that he gets from her. And pretty much as soon as they kill this thing, they are teleported away from there. And we find out why. It's this little device, and they kind of show you right here. They are flip-flopping through books. Once they go back here, we find out that this place is called Program, and it's kind of like the Matrix. Just imagine they are all fictional characters that had once existed in books of some format, not necessarily printed books, because that's kind of what the plot of the book is. So basically, the whole design is they hold up in this area. It's this pink area that's called the Program, and they get daily missions, and their missions are to save unpublished books. So they hop into unpublished books and they make them more interesting, or fix dates, or blah 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 blah. They do whatever they can to get the book published and to be successful. There is actually like a scoreboard that keeps track of their success and their failures, kind of thing. In the beginning of the book, that's what was going on. The team was jumping into a book to save that book. Of course, the writer had wrote in those stupid little green men, and that's what they did, was they went in there and killed those little green men, and they brought in those scary looking worms. So we find out that something wrong happened right there during that interview, because that worm was not supposed to be able to teleport. But we do find out that Cliff is going to be a new member of the team, because what happened to that guy Surge, and they need, a new member, kind of thing. He basically passes out after they kind of explain that he's a fictional character. This dude Roar takes him to his room, and we kind of get a little more of like the plot details in these moments, and most of them I filled you in what the team is supposed to do, and this and that kind of thing. That's how she knew so much about this Cliff character, because she literally had read everything that was in his book where they pulled him from. We start to see some interesting things. They show us over here like this. It looks like a Civil War book between some American Indians or something, and all of a sudden the worm busts through here. Looks like he kills everything. We see in the Program world that basically that worm is hopping through all these books. We'll get back there in a second. We go back to Cliff, and he wakes up after passing out, and he wakes up with one of the members named Johnny Manga. And they kind of put Johnny Manga in there because Cliff in his book was a fan of mangas, kind of thing. So as soon as he wakes up and he meets Johnny Manga, he's like, Johnny Manga, that can't be your real name. And we find out it's a nickname that's given to him by the group, and we get his whole backstory, which is so dope, because it is set up in manga form. You don't have to read it like a manga, it reads like our regular comics, but basically he explains that his origin story is a lot like Gundam's, but a little different. They threw in like cars to pilot these Gundams. So basically they drive in cars, and then eventually the car like connects with this big ass robot, and that's how they operate the robot. But he has a touching backstory about how his master was killed in some war, and eventually he had to hop in the suit. Eventually he failed at hopping the suit. He was going to try and win the war that his master fought, believing it was his destiny, and as you can see, he just got his ass beat. And due to that fact, that's how he literally got pulled into the group, the plot holes. And that's we find out at this moment that's what they call themselves, is the plot holes. So we kind of, at this point, Johnny Manga's kind of running down, like, what their mission is, what happens when they fail, kind of thing. If the countdown thing reaches to 0, they all get deleted, kind of thing. So their whole purpose is to jump into bad books and save them for whatever reasons. They do explain that they can't save every story. So sometimes it just depends on the writers. They kind of show this like supposed to be historical accurate book where they just had Nazis, in France way too earlier, and at this point, our team deems that story unsavable because the writer just didn't do any homework, kind of thing. But there's some other kind of like kumbaya moments between, while he's getting this explanation. We actually get some cool references like the DeLorean, which happens to be from Back to the Future, and it's stated that it's from the, you better keep it under 88 miles per hour, kind of thing. The book is riddled with Easter eggs, even in that Gundam thing, even though his place wasn't based on Gundam. The Johnny Manga character was aware of Gundam, and it was referenced in the book, which I kind of appreciated. But eventually the thing that's been running in the background with the worms teleporting in other books. We find out that that's kind of going to be the big, like, of the book. And basically that's what the team is going to try and stop now, because we have this worm that's like teleporting through all these books, and as it's doing so, these are unpublished books, but it's destroying the plots and basically publishing them after it destroys the plots to make sure that these books fail. And every time it does, the countdown timer just bloop, bloop. I think earlier it was at like 20%, and now because of these failed books it jumped all the way down to 5%. So there is kind of a scare factor for these characters, because if it drops down to 0, they all die. So that's kind of the the mission and everything. There is a cool preview to Zorro, what is it, Man of the Dead, done by Sean Gordon Murphy. Gives you some black and white, cool, quick pages kind of thing. In the very back of the book, there is some design pages, which I really appreciated, because they actually have info on every little character. One character that didn't really kind of make it in this issue a lot was La Razor, and she's supposed to be like a French vampire or something like that. There's some other characters that I didn't touch on in this one. He's a Calvin and Hobbes ripoff, to the point where his Hobbes is actually a penguin, and in his book, his stuffed animal friend died early on in his, and that's why he's all angsty and gung-ho and kind of stuff. This was a great read. A little bit of it was confusing kind of stuff, and once, I want to say like first couple pages, but once it got going, it was fantastic. I do love the whole, what they're supposed to be doing, the whole plot, the whole scare, if we drop down to 0, we have to be saving books kind of thing. It's kind of cool. I do like all the character designs. I do love Sean Murphy's art. I'm kind of super biased on that one. They do give us a cover preview to the second issue, but that's kind of it. But hey guys, that's my review. Let me know down below what you thought about plot holes. If you liked it, you thought it was okay, meh, didn't like it, let me know. I want to hear all that shit. But that's my review, guys. I'll try and knock out some more before the end of the night. Be on the lookout for those. CBC Awards is big in full fashion right now. If you have not voted, go vote for the finalists. cbc.awards.org. I will have it right here and in the description, so all you got to do is click on it and go vote. Please go vote for this guy right here for favorite reviews if you enjoy my reviews. But that is my shameless, selfless, plug for the CBC Award. Alright guys, another thing I like to touch on that I've never even touched on my channel is we have an event coming October 20th to the 22nd. Comics Curing Cancer. It is a huge event on YouTube. It's been going for a couple years now. We have some amazing things that are on the way for this event, so be on the lookout for a lot of different community members doing events during that, and try and help out. I plan to try and donate. We're trying to kick the fuck out of cancer, raise a shitload of money in the name of saving people's lives kind of thing. Alright guys, that's all I got for you. Bye.